Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Job Seekers Lunch and Learn. This is a support group for job seekers. We're here to provide not only support for each other, but tips and tricks and some tools to help you find that next forever job. Now, I'm a job search coach, and I've been doing the job search coaching now for the last 7 years. And actually, just this morning, I found out that we're now up to 856 people that I've worked with over the course of those 7 years who've gotten offers. So no guarantees, but I know that what we're talking about seems to help. I do this as a free program. It's my give back. It's my way of helping to provide support because I've been in job search more often than I care to admit. I also know that it's nice to have those other people to talk with, to share with, to bounce ideas off of, and to get support from. So that's what we do this for. Now, as I said, this is my give back, and it's supported by the fact that I am that job search coach, and I will put my information in the chat. So the work that I do with individuals, providing them with resume assistance, LinkedIn support, job search strategies, and a lot of interview prep is what allows me to do this kind of a program. So if anybody would like to work with me one-on-one, the information is in the chat. That said, we're going to get started. We've got a guest today. So Chris Sellers is here, and I'm going to let him introduce himself in a couple of minutes. But let's start with some quick wins so that we can get enough time for some of your questions as we go through the presentation. So if you've got a quick win, please raise your hand so that we can recognize you. Michael.
Okay, since using the video, since the last time we spoke, I've had 2 more interviews, got engaged by 4 recruiters who said it was an original and novel way of connecting. So I am now putting it on my docket to do at least 1 video a week that I'm just going to do on posting, just in general, just to showcase where I've been doing thought leadership and posting with articles and LinkedIn Pulse. And now I'm going to do video and start sharing it that way. And I have another interview tomorrow as a result of it. That's it.
Fantastic. Okay, so for those people who weren't here, Michael, can you share what you were talking about by that video?
Yeah, so I've believed, just for background, I'm in corporate communications, public relations, and executive positioning. And one of the things that I've always seen that's worked well for my clients is to utilize video. LinkedIn is so text heavy. I feel like what we're doing on Zoom, seeing each other on video is a way to see personality. It's a way for us to see people. And I figured it might be a cool way for recruiters and talent acquisition people who might be burnt out from reading CVs and resumes and cover letters. Why don't I try a video? So, and I think that LinkedIn is going to become more prevalent on video. So I found a free platform, at least a free version of a platform called Veed, VEED.io. And I recorded a video cover letter. My engagement has gone up 50% on LinkedIn. People are sharing that video cover letter with other people, and it's worked out well.
And I think that's great. And that's one of the things that we are noticing is that LinkedIn is becoming a little more visual. So if you can do, even if you do just a video once a month, it's not a bad thing. It's a way of showcase who you are. And then pin that to your featured section on your LinkedIn profile. That way it's always visible when somebody comes to your profile and takes a look. By the way, I would probably still rename it not to video cover letter, but video introduction.
Yeah, I know I have to change it.
Because a cover letter should be tailored to every job, but the introduction is you, who you are, what you do, what you bring.
And thanks for the reminder.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. Thank you. And thanks for the leader. I'm glad to hear that kind of engagement.
Thanks.
By the way, if anybody else chooses to do one, let us know in the private group or send us a message so that we can support it as well. Chad.
So I have a 5th round interview tomorrow with the firm that I've been talking with. So one more step along the way, although there will probably be at least one more round after this as well.
Okay, very good. Well, we're starting to see unfortunately, the number of interviews continue to grow again. For a while, they'd gone down to a reasonable level, but yeah, it's not unusual, unfortunately, to have 5 interviews.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know that their philosophy is hire slow, so this is par for the course, I think.
Okay. Remember that you get a chance to decide whether or not to hire them too,
True.
and that gives you more time. Michael, did you want to come back
Sorry.
again?
No, I hit the wrong button. My mistake.
Not a problem. Okay. Anybody else have a quick one that they'd like to share? Okay. So a quick win can be that even if you got a rejection, you heard from somebody, right? You're applying to the jobs, you're getting that information out there, you're getting a post out there that works. We love to see all of those. But if we don't have any more right now, that's okay, because I'm really excited by today's topic. We're going to be doing this in just a moment, but remember, if you have questions, we really want to make sure that they get answered. So raise your hand so that we can make sure that we see who you are. We've got a lot of people on the call already. There are already 41 of us. So I expect more people to continue to join us. It's not easy always for me to see who you are unless you raise your hand, and then I will try and find you. Okay? All right. So I'd like to introduce you all. Actually, I'm going to let him introduce himself, to Chris Sellers. Chris is somebody that I've met on LinkedIn, and I'm really excited by the fact that he's going to share with us some information about LinkedIn Recruiter and how people get found. Something that I've never used, and I'm excited to learn more. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Chris. I'm in the Los Angeles area. I've owned my own staffing firm for about 12 years, been in the industry longer than that. I am primarily technical, so I think for context that's relevant. But I get involved in searches of all kinds, but I would say technology is my number one. And historically, it's been Southern California, but with what's kind of transpired in the remote workforce, we end up covering really most of the country where our clients are at. I think as it pertains to today, we use LinkedIn Recruiter every single day. So my understanding is there's a lot of questions on what's going on the inside. So what I hope to do today is better understand some of the questions you do have, some of the things you'd like to know on how it, probably actually works on the inside when a recruiter is using this tool. I think the one thing I will always start off with on a discussion like this is the entire landscape matters, and specifically what's going on with the economy. Personally, I don't love it at all. And you had a jobs report come out that can be, exciting in its core number, but extremely misleading in as much that it's not corporate hiring. It's government services, it's healthcare, it's leisure and hospitality, and it's construction almost entirely. And that when you, kind of go through the layers of it, corporate hiring is virtually flat. And so if you were opening your LinkedIn mailbox 2 years ago, you probably had a number of offers. Today, you just might not have any interest. And my commentary to that, and listen, I'm going through a different version of that as well with my own clients, wondering if they don't love me anymore. But if we all kind of look back on our history, and if we can be honest that we have reasonable progression, a reasonable photo, reasonable skills, etc., the truth is it's probably not you. There isn't only a flattening in corporate hiring, there's a flattening in people actually leaving jobs. There's just kind of a fear. And so it just creates overall less opportunity, less movement, just less everything. And then the longer we go through this collectively, it creates increased sense of I have nothing to offer anybody. And it's just not true. So, I always want to start there when laying out the LinkedIn thing. I was going to share my screen if that's okay, Linda.
Before you do,
Yep.
David Mills seems to have a question.
Yep.
David.
Yeah, Chris, you said corporate hiring seems flat. Is that
Yes.
in particular fields or pretty much across the board? in your view?
Yeah, so I lean heavy technology. So of course I'm going to always see it through that lens. Um, However, it's been my experience that for the most part, that's flat when it comes to general corporate investment. And so new programs, new projects that need new headcount. And
So,
even my clients that are sitting on a ton of cash, they still finance a lot of this with debt. They're waiting for these interest rates to go down. And so this I guess the new things that they want to do internally just kind of are kind of being put on hold. But I definitely see it more from the lens of technology.
so
And I
in the
will tell you,
field,
go ahead.
like data analytics, that's part of the
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is shocking because there's so many programs and projects that
Okay.
just absolutely have to get done. But these
Yeah.
finance departments are taking out. I've had one conversation after another with my hiring managers in particular. And they're just like, until these rates go down, our finance department runs the show. So you just have to know that's going on so you don't.
That's why I'm not getting interviews and everyone else is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
a
can
tough
get
job
into
market
that.
out there. And Chris is right. You really have to look behind the figures and the numbers that you're seeing to see what they really mean. Because too often you're going to hear all the hype that job market is growing, all of these new jobs are added. But if you're looking at the industries, they're not the industries that most of us are looking for. So it is a tough job market out there right now. Okay, sorry about that. Any other
Nope.
questions before we let Chris get started? All right, Chris, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Share. Can people see it?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Okay. Is there a particular skill set that anybody would like to see how this actually works? That's kind of a random open-ended question.
Or how about data analyst?
Let's do it.
Data
Let's do
analytics.
it. And what is your I guess desired title? And I'll get into marketing as well. Executive assistant, definitely.
Could be
what-
analyst or junior data analyst or
Yep, great.
business
Okay.
analyst. Mhm.
Yep. Okay. So there's going to be, obviously every recruiter is going to have their way they like to do things. I kind of do two things at once. So I think of it as a funnel. I'll start with casting a fairly wide search, or I'll do the exact opposite. I'll get hyper specific. But when it comes to this discussion of AI and generative AI and so forth, I still lean heavily that it's just not there yet. And so you especially in the talent industry, and I could get into this in depth another day, I just don't see AI outside of certain tools being all that effective. It's still the eye of the recruiter. And so with that, that puts you in a weird position. Is the recruiter experienced? Is the recruiter even really looking much at your profile? Is the recruiter got 40 openings on their desk and they're just working as quickly as possible? There's all these like little internal things that are happening. And so then I always advise people then to take some different approaches on this, but we'll kind of stay focused here. So I'm just going to call it Search for Linda. I'm not going to put any criteria in right now. It limits my search. I don't like it. I would rather feel like I've got a little bit of control over here. And then it pops immediately into this thing. And you see it right over here, AI assisted search. And we can, is it David, where do you live?
I'm north of Boston, so I guess
Okay.
it's Greater Boston, something like
In
that.
Boston. Is open to work. Okay, so this is the AI tool. I don't love it, but I just want you to see it real quickly. It's brand new. It supposedly will process a search for me. I've done it a couple times and immediately I've just decided I'm going to go into my own search. In part, you see this thing right here. So it immediately now shows me a couple really interesting details. So one, obviously, who's open to work. Two, active talent. The search is a little overwhelming, is what you'll notice right away. So the first thing you should know is, even though it shows me 7,300 people that are open to work, I'm only allowed to look at 1,000 profiles. So it's really the first 1,000 that are brought to my attention. I can't go beyond it. Secondly, there's this debate that exists about open to work and active talent. And the debate goes something like this. Should I show the world I'm open to work? It looks vulnerable. It looks like I really need a job. I'm desperate. It hurts my negotiation power. My internal employer will find out about it. And I get the debate. I personally go right away to those people who are open to work, personally. That is with the exception of certain searches where the supply-demand curve is a little tighter. But I like to go right away to the open to work. It's low-hanging fruit. The conversation is always different. The negotiation through the experience is just easier for everybody. I don't personally look at somebody open to work, especially in today's market, and go, oh my God, they're open to work. They must not be very good. I just think it's ridiculous. But that discussion's out there. And so, fall where you'll fall on it. I just know personally, in the recruiters I work with, it's the first place we go.
And it's something that I recommend highly.
Yep, good.
Been here before, you know that I'm Green Banner all the way.
Okay, good. Secondly, let's look at this active talent. This, do not take my golden word for it, but supposedly the algorithm rewards those people who are more active on LinkedIn. And that may or may not be true. But once again, as a recruiter, I like seeing that for a series of reasons. But the number one reason, and it might be silly, we have to actually spend money to contact you.
Mhm.
So my account, I think, costs like $500 a month. With that account, I get 100 messages per month. If I send out a message and you respond to it in any form, even if you say thumbs down, I get my message back. So knowing that, every recruiter is thinking in their head, I got to allocate these wisely. So with that allocation, if I know you're more active, I'm almost sure you're going to at least respond you're not interested. So if you're active, I think it just has so many side benefits, including this one little benefit where I, as a recruiter, selfishly am going, great. Even if it's not a fit, they're likely to respond. To give you a sense, the average response rate is about 10 to 12%. If you fall under like 6%, you get your account put on hold. I'm at about 20%, and that's about as high as you can hope. So anyways, for a million reasons, I'm big on the be active on LinkedIn, and there's probably a whole nother Zoom meeting just for that. Okay, here's how the search really works. Data analyst, and then we'll get into a couple of the others that I saw. So I'm going to go advanced search. Once again, I've got control over it. I like it. When I'm doing this, you can see I've got all these options in front of me. I'll show them to you real quickly. Languages, zip codes, all this stuff up here. The only one I ever really use is zip code on this section. I really don't mess with it much beyond that. This thing here, network relationships, and I might be saying that which you already know. If you're connected to me, then you're a second-degree connection of all my recruiting relationships. And second-degree relationships tend to pop up more in the algorithm. Now, I still get access to third degree, and I think that's probably for all of us, in the hundreds of thousands. But boy, second degree is nice. So, connect with me, connect with other recruiters. That's how this thing grows and gets your name up there more.
I'm sorry, Chris, can I ask you a quick question? I apologize for the interruption, but you said second degree. What about first degree?
All day long.
Okay,
We all want the first degree.
Perfect.
But for the purposes of the algorithm, I have found that second degree is relevant.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. And Carl has a quick question.
Yes.
Are you okay just to be interrupted like this?
Oh yeah, I've got a 5-year-old. So
All right.
I had a 5-year-old some time ago, so I'll try to remember. But so my question specifically, you mentioned zip code. I've heard some things. I'm very open to relocation. I'm showing myself as the United States versus a specific state or city in LinkedIn. Is that a smart move or a bad move? Because I very am open to relocation. What is your suggestion for how I represent location in a way they would hit if you type in a zip code, which is, you said, one of the fields that you do use?
I've heard there's different ways to do that. I think your banner, from what I understand, is the best way to represent that. You could also, instead of, wherever you're at, let's just say Charlotte, North Carolina, you could change it to United States. And I think you'll show up in those other searches. I would do a little homework on that one. I don't know for sure.
Okay,
But
thanks.
The banner, we're going to get into that in a second, it's just so much of what we're about to discuss. Basically, the first 10 words in your profile is kind of everything for what we're doing. Real quickly, Willaflax, your question. Every time I change the search, no matter what, I'm only allowed to see the first 1,000 profiles. So to your question, I reconfigure all the time to get a new group of candidates. But if that number's over 1,000, I can't go past it. But I have to play with this, and you're going to see me play with it right now for that exact purpose.
And for those of us who used recruiting and did not have the recruiter, LinkedIn Recruiter, I could only see 100 candidates in a search, okay, in my free version. So you need to really get at the top. Ali has Ali really has a question too.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Quick question. I had an interview yesterday with a recruiter that I sent my resume blindly. I pretty much had all the requirement with the exception of one important one. They wanted somebody who had experience with consumers. Most of my experience has been with enterprises for a SaaS company.
Yep.
And he said, he mentioned that, hey, you don't have the consumer. And I said, yes, I don't. I have the other requirements, but I don't have the consumer. It's been a while since I did the consumer. So what's the best app? I didn't want to say something which is not obviously not true.
Sure.
So
what's the best way of positioning it?
So I know my experience is this is a supply demand issue. So in a market a year and a half ago, you just wouldn't even have gotten asked the question. Today, companies are being unusually picky, specific. They're being unfair. The question might just be a way to rule you out, by the way, for other factors. I mean, who knows? You just never know what's actually happening there. So it is the most frustrating thing there is. So I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
okay, and that's something that you and I can talk about offline, okay, or in the private group. Chris's expertise is in helping us to determine how you can get found on LinkedIn. At least that's what we're asking him to do.
Sorry, I came a little bit late. I had a drop.
That's no problem. Thank you.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, this section, I use it all the time, education and experience. Yes, college degrees matter. I know there's discussion about whether they matter or not. Of course they do, at least in my opinion. Sometimes I'll get down to industry. Yes, people use the years of experience and year of graduation all the time. Those are pretty big ones. This one, employment type, I don't even touch it. But it might behoove everybody to at least be aware that this exists and to say that you would be open to contract positions in particular. I say that because in what I mentioned on the economy right now, contract positions are going to be the first place people have openings for. So if you say you're not open to it, you might miss hearing a really good opportunity. Down here, I'm going to scroll through. I don't even use it. Very rarely. Company type, recruiting activity. I just don't touch it. I get to the core of this thing. So, data analyst, and then I might do a zip code, and then I'll run my search. This is kind of a big number, but for our purposes, it's fine. So I'll click my search. And then just to kind of wean it down a little bit, let's just go active talent to kind of support what I was saying about I prefer people who show a little bit of activity. Okay. So once again, we talked about the funnel approach. I like kind of start wide and then I hone it down. And this is just what I do, but I have a feeling a lot of other recruiters do as well. My goal in this, if I'm working on like a data analyst, I know there's questions about marketing, executive assistant, and so forth, is to put together a folder of about 100 to 200 candidates. In my experience, if I get to the 150 number in my business, I'm in a good position. Because if I get to 150, that means 30 people are likely to respond. That's 20%. Of that 30, you hope you get a few who are a really good fit for my client. I say that because when you're working with a recruiter, you got to really understand kind of two factors going on. Factor number one, they've got a client who does not have their own internal recruiting capabilities. And so they say, Chris, just find me somebody who can do these things. Okay, that is one scenario. The other scenario is I've got a team of recruiters. They can't find me anybody. I need you to find me the best available. It is through that lens that at least a lot of recruiters are working. So what they're doing is they're trying to put their 100 to 150 profiles together with the intent of finding the best ones. Okay. With that in mind, I'm probably looking at a profile for 3 to 5 seconds at most, if I even look at it at all. So I see that I've got 8,000 data analysts. I would like it to be a current title. That's just too many profiles for me. I don't even want to look at it. All right, now I got down to 2,000 open to work people in Boston who currently have the data analyst title. Once again, something we do all the time. That seems incredibly obvious. You control your title on LinkedIn. This thing is yours. No company owns it. You own it. It's no different than I own my own website and put whatever I want on that thing. So if your actual title isn't quite the same as what the industry is asking for, change it. So somebody asked me about executive assistants. I've seen a million titles for that. I would recommend putting the one that is most common, even if that was not your authentic title at work. Now, when it comes to a job application, that's a different story. But for this, I would highly recommend using the title that is most consistent. So right now, I'm just looking at data analyst real quickly. Okay. So quickly, I'm going through this, and let's Shrushi, most recent thing, graduate teaching assistant. I'm not even looking. Andrew, okay. I like the photo. Nice smiley person. I know somebody on here I think does profile headshots for LinkedIn all day long. I recommend everybody do that. I like the title. It's right there, data analyst. Good education, Northeastern, recently open to work. I like that. Active talent, like that. The only thing I don't like is he's open to work, but his most recent job is started this year. But it looks like he was promoted into it. Okay, I'll save him to my pipeline. That's all I'm doing. I didn't even go into his profile because I'm just trying to cast a wide net. Same thing, Richard, nice little picture, recent job, good education, open to work, save him to pipeline. Once again, I'm just trying to get to 100. Open to work, Liberty Mutual seems like a good company. Saved, like, it's just casting for me a wide net. And I will go through this rather quickly, trying to just be close enough. I want to stop there for a second and see if that poses any kind of questions, because it's so quick that if I'm on the other side of this, I'm a little disheartened by its reality.
Do the pictures ever turn you off that you would just take them out of your list?
Yep, 100%. I think this is sure. I mean, listen, if I've got to decide between, this guy and this guy, sure, the hat and smiley, sure, sometimes. It gets to the supply and demand curve, and it gets to the level of the position. So obviously, if you're like at a director level, I'm going to scrutinize that a little more. I mean, on a data analyst level, I'm not going to worry about it too much. But yes, all the time. I mean, this is somebody who clearly put some effort into the photo. This looks like a quick, throw something up there. I don't know. For this job, I'm not too worried about it, but sure, director level, yes.
And if your picture is more than a year or two old, add a new one. We want to be
Yep.
sure that when we do see you on screen or in person, you're a pretty close representation to what it is I'm looking at.
I think for this particular search, the number one thing I'd say that I'm looking at is this little tagline. Okay, this person wants the job I've got in my hands. And then kind of there's this most recent couple of experiences. Does it make sense?
I have a question.
Yep,
Okay.
go ahead.
So, what order do these profiles show up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Like,
I've
what
been
is the
told-
algorithm
Yeah.
that determines who's one and who's all the way down at 200 or
Yep.
whatever the highest number is?
Yep. So supposedly it's a combination of your activity and that the words in your body are consistent with the search. So, but boy, this thing could change. I actually have a call tomorrow with my LinkedIn rep just anyways. And I'll ask that question and fire the answer out to everybody. What's kind of the latest algorithm?
So,
Go ahead.
so I'm sorry, you can continue your answer. I'll just finish answering this follow-up question. So I originally only had one title under my name, like technical project manager, but
Yep.
then I heard I should add more words so that, it can get picked up more. So if I can do different things like project manager, electrical engineer, appraiser, I put them all in.
Sure.
Is that a not good? Because now it looks like, oh, I'm not an expert at one thing. I can do a lot of things.
Sure.
And then also, these people I see only have one title under their name. So should
Sure.
it be only one title? Is it, as far as like the search goes?
Yep. So two
Besides,
things. Feel free to
Yeah.
send me your profile and I'll answer that question through a message on LinkedIn. I just know
Okay.
I want to kind of hit two things at once here. So once again, I'm dealing with the supply and demand curve of data analysts. There's a lot of them. And so I'm, this is to get into, I'm keeping it simple because I've got limited time and I've been doing this a while where I can look at a profile real quickly and be like, yeah, in the ballpark. So if I see the one title that is consistent, I love it. Getting to Alex's comment, how superficial this whole thing is, when the supply and demand curve is high, sure, we're working quickly. If it is a tighter one, yeah, I'm going in here and I'm looking a little more closely at like, okay, I see this, I see that, I like this, I like that. And it is simple as, okay, this is a great example. So I'll just show you what I see. I like the effort put here. Simple title. I like it. GE Healthcare. I've heard of the company. 2 years there, 8 months, but it was a contract, 10 months here. Looks like some career progression. Looks like somebody who probably jumps around a little bit, but graduated in, 2015 from a good school. I'll talk to this person and at least get the conversation going. If it's a different supply and demand curve, so I know somebody on this call is a director of digital engineering and marketing in the Northeast. Yeah, that takes a little more time because it's a little bit more nuanced of a position. Okay. Okay. So let's just kind of change the search if that's okay. Or is there more questions about this particular?
No, please do.
Okay. So is it Shelley, you're in, this was asked, executive assistant. Oops. And Shelley, can you remind me where you are located? Chicago, is it?
Yes.
Chicago. Okay, so I'm gonna take that out. What part of Chicago? Or can you throw me a zip code?
Share what's yours, 60061.
60061. I love the zip code search. That's just me in particular. Because I can then shoot this down, I can tighten my search. Once again, whether that's fair or not, it's just what it is. So for instance, if I'm just trying to tighten my search, just want somebody 5 miles away. All right, 110 is a little low. I'm going to go to 10 miles away. The reason I'm doing that is it increases the chance that the person's going to accept the job. So yes, to those people living 11 miles away, it might be like, wait a minute, that's, they can get there. What's the difference? The difference is I'm working on limited time and I'm trying to find the best I can in a rather swift manner. So that's kind of what's going on here. So I'm using the exact same rules before. So good picture, administrative assistant, that's what I'm looking for. Open to work, recent graduate, and graduates, doesn't always matter for, certain topics, but, Marcy, nice. I mean, it's a nice enough picture, good skills.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
The very first person who showed up on your search,
yes,
okay, is listed as just her first initial of her last name. Does that make a difference?
It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Also, this is stage one where I'm just trying to cast a wide enough net to get my, number of candidates that I'm looking for. What's kind of tricky is, and it begs that obvious question. You're like, well, what about candidate 400? You're not even going to get to them. It's been my experience that those candidates at the end of the filtered results have less skill set that is in common with my job. And so the way to combat that is to have the appropriate information within the body of your LinkedIn profile. This is your ultimate branding advertising platform. And so if the information isn't there, you won't be one of the first.
What do you get in the body of the profile, like in the about section? Or way
So
up top?
yeah, so for me, I love the top here. So Darcy looks like a nice person. I love just whatever this is. This banner line, something to the effect of, this is what I do. I like a little summary, and it's great. And then the body, it's these she's using skills to have herself found. And then this body right here. And yes, keywords for whatever reason really matter in meeting the needs of the algorithm again. So yes, as the body or the skills or just the content of your profile is more consistent with the search, the more likely you're going to get found and be at the top, like page one.
So when you put in a job description, you're not necessarily picking and choosing the keywords that you're hoping somebody will match. It's kind of AI done for you, which then potentially, if you have enough of what's listed on your job description, will determine who pops up on the search?
So good question. It really all depends on how wide of a search I'm dealing with. So right now I've got an opening in Westchester County in New York. It's a pharmaceutical, not salesperson, but relationship builder. And they really want this person to have some skills either in working with OBGYNs or general women's healthcare products. I will use this keyword all day long to filter this out. So for sure, data analysts, often need a skill in something called SQL. Not all of them have it. So yes, I actually try to avoid the AI feature for now until I think it improves. And I will hit these keywords all the time. What is your take on not including, Scott, I got your question about graduation dates. What would be the fear with graduation?
Just the age factor. I mean, I'm an old guy, I'd readily admit it. So it's like, are they going to look at me and just go, oh, he graduated in 1982. We don't even want to talk to him. He's just too old.
Yep. So, I mean, it happens all the time. It happens to me. It's happening to everybody. I'm a whopping 51, and I'm already seeing my clients who are like 35 hire other, 32-year-old recruiters. I just don't know a way around it, outside of, a strong hope that wisdom matters. And yeah, I mean, they're going to see the pictures. It just is what it is. And I think once again, in this type of demand market, it's just a weird challenge, and it saddens me. I'm seeing it all the time, and it's just not spoken about.
Right.
So, I do think within what I'm seeing within organizations is there's going to be a giant retirement hit. So there's going to be a lot of needs for director level people who are wise. So, the emerging generation, it's data. That's great. But what are you doing with that data? And until there's a change in valuing around wisdom, I'm a little nervous about that, even for myself looking at the next 10 years.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, can I add to that?
Yep.
I take headshots. I'm an art director, and
Okay, great.
I would just say that really what you said earlier about the smile and the attitude, I think it doesn't hurt to wear, let's say, contemporary clothing. I mean, not
Sure.
trendy stuff, but a good bright color, and then a colorful background, not a complicated one, but a colorful one, because colors skew towards a younger mindset, a fresher mind. So, and that's not, those aren't hard things to do. And a good smile. So, I mean, you can't prevent, your age, but you sure can your attitude.
I love the last thing you said there about smile. I used to teach even teenage job search things. I'm like, just go in the interview and smile. Your chances are going to increase so much. And I would 100% agree with that when it comes to these type of searches, when all things else are kind of considered equal. Goes a long ways.
That's my input.
Okay.
Richard Kennedy has his hand up.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. So Chris, since you brought up the point of being 51 years old, and I'm seeing you here on video, have you considered shaving your mustache and beard because of the gray?
I need to, huh?
Well, I help people. I'm a job coach, and I help people in many different settings. And if somebody's got some gray in their beard, I'm not afraid to suggest that they get rid of it. I'm a big fan of Just for Men medium brown.
There you go. Well, maybe you'll see that on my next profile picture update. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I could continue to do different searches if you'd like to see it. What you're basically seeing is how it's done on a macro level. Is there anything though that if I to hone in would be kind of helpful in getting a little more nuanced?
Chris, one of the things that we've heard before is that the skills are important, and you mentioned it, not just in your title, your headline, those first 10 words, 50 characters, whatever it is, and your job titles for your jobs that you're looking at, and the skills that you're listing there. But in the skills section itself, you can now go up to 100 skills.
Yep.
We've heard some stories saying that unless you have at least one endorsement for those skills, LinkedIn won't find it. Are you seeing that?
I actually don't know. So I think if there's a few questions that you'd like me to get kind of the latest algorithmic answers to, I'll just ask my rep tomorrow. And I'm happy to then put together an email to everybody that gives it, because this thing changes all the time.
It does. Perfect. I will add some of those to the chat and to get them out to you. Thank you.
Please do. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Alan has a hand up. Oh, excuse me, Alex.
Two questions quickly. I've been a contract consultant for the last 6 years, had about 11 different positions. And on my LinkedIn profile and my resume, I just put that as one long block. So I'm trying to avoid the job hopper tag.
Yep.
Is that a good strategy?
I actually don't know. This is where you kind of get stuck with the eye of the beholder. Everybody just comes out so different on these little topics where I would just say whatever is authentic to you. If you're comfortable with it, it doesn't bother me. But I know other recruiters who either feel like misled or they just have a funny relationship with contract employees in the first place. I just think some of that's really unfair, and that's why I try to instead cast a little bit of a wider net so I can actually have a phone conversation with you.
Yeah.
But sure.
What I found previously when I listed each position, whether it was 6 months or a year and a half, you know, people ask the question like, "Oh, you seem to like to move around," and it's like, well, I'm a post-COVID consultant by necessity. I've got to pay the bills. It's not because I'm not looking for a permanent role.
Yep.
So there's that piece, and then more recently, I'm in the sort of job search mode. I don't have a gig at the moment, and I say, you know, looking for a role is my job title. Is that something you recommend?
I like it in the body for sure. That
Correct.
initial tagline. And if you would like to send me your profile, I'm happy to kind of go over it and give you any thoughts I have. Because the flip side, right, is I actually think contract jobs are going to get pretty hot over the next year. And so then, you know, the flip side is you're low hanging fruit. Oh, this person's totally into that. So like, I'm going to contact this guy right away.
Not only that, if you're in a contract role, we know that you're open to new contract roles and your contract ends. So you're always looking for the next opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're looking for another way to showcase it, reach out to me and I'll see whether I can't give you an idea as well.
Thank you both.
Sherry. I'm sorry, we only have, let's see, we've got 10 minutes left unless you're willing to go a little overtime. So we're going to let you lead this conversation. Go right ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm just going to real quickly, and if go ahead and fire some questions away. So I'm just going to use this as a quick example. I like it, okay, for this position. But notice I'm not even scrolling down.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, for me to get like past this far on a profile is pretty rare, unless once again, it's a nuanced supply demand type search. So when we get to things like skills, or if we get to things like look how far down endorsements are, and there's a big discussion right now on why are endorsements not higher up they should be, but they're just not. You can really play with the skills and you can play with this section to feed the algorithm is kind of where I'm going with it. So if you need to like, you know, shove some stuff in there, I mean, do it. It can only help you. And it's not like I'm sitting here looking going, man, she's got, you know, 800 skills. What's that about? We're not even looking because we're buried for time and we're trying to fill these things. And it's really that first thing I look at. It's a combination of this is what I see. And then it's that first, you know, third of a page. And I'll say
guys.
A lot of the people who are on this call, I quickly did send you, I sent a few connection requests. I looked at your page. Your page looks, I don't know, my first glance, it looks great. I have no issue. Like, I don't think that's the issue. I would just say that. There's nothing wrong with your page.
Perfect. Thank you. Sherry has her hand up. Can you take questions?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. I'm the one who emailed you earlier today.
Thank you. Yep.
And you also did the executive assistant search. Now, I saw my name initially pop up like right away, and then you must have switched gears. I was also the one that told you that I've been working pretty hard on, you know, increasing my profile, but it's something happened and all of a sudden my name wasn't showing up. I'm the one with a green banner.
I got you. You're like the 6th person that came up on my search.
I'm the 6th person. Okay. All right. Yay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I have no idea why.
Well, like I said, I've been.
I'll tell you what, here's probably why. We have some shared connections now.
Yes. Oh, and
That's
I'm following you.
So here, see this. This happened really quick because now through this call, we've got some shared connections.
Yes.
Connect with people, both recruiters and people who are at a similar level as you are in your area. It's totally appropriate. If you're a data analyst in Boston, go find 10 data analysts in Boston and connect with them. They want what you want. They want to expand their network. They want to hear about good jobs. They want to share ideas. Go ahead and do it. It is only going to help this thing going on right now.
And Willa has her hand up.
Mine pertains somewhat is like a little bit more unique. I'm pivoting careers.
Yep.
So I have no problem putting in skills that I have and but then I noticed, some of the profiles that you highlighted more frequently are the ones that have those terms specifically. If you're looking at an executive assistant who have those terms more consistently in their profile. Any insight on how you might either, I don't really know what the question is, just an observation, I guess.
Sure. What are you pivoting from and what are you pivoting to?
Education, HR.
Okay, so from education to HR. So, I would say in your education section, if there is terminology you can utilize that's virtually HR terminology, that's helpful. Obviously, the very top, that first tagline, which very well could be, professional looking to transition from education to human resources. Obviously, any certifications, education and human resources, anything that can fill that human resource bucket. Have you done a human resource job before?
Yeah.
Okay, so your most recent one is HR?
No.
And so now what's that?
No, it's not. No, I guess I'm just curious, just to try and make it more general, because I don't want to hog your time. Are there any things that are red flags for you across the board when you're looking at this for a potential candidate?
Sure. The job history thing can be a challenge. I don't like politics on the page. It's rare, but it happens. I would say just no information at all, kind of just a general carelessness about the page itself. I guess those are flags for me. And once again, it kind of gets into, it depends on the search. So when you're in a field like an executive assistant, I think this is a great place to really go all in. There are certain skill sets that they're just hard to find people. So, I guess you can be a little more carefree about it. But listen, the past predicts the future. I mean, if somebody, has 15 jobs in 4 years, it's hard to think to yourself, this is going to be a good fit. I'm a big believer that most people don't recognize how valuable it is to just be a nice person who shows up on time, has a nice smile on their face, and can articulate what they do. If they can do that, they're worth going into my, little pipeline. And I would say most recruiters would agree with that. But then articulating that. And once again, same thing. If you want to send me your link offline, I'll look it over and speak specifically to your profile.
Thank you. Looks like Lewis has his hand up.
Yeah, mine's an easy and quick question and may have already been addressed, but when you decide, okay, I want to send this person a message, I get these messages from time to time, and you did say respond to them because we appreciate it, even if you're not interested. So what do they generally look like when they come? Because sometimes I feel like it's more a solicitation message. And not exactly sure if it's a recruiter or a solicitation. So I just wanted to see if you could show an example or briefly explain how they look to us when you're not connected to somebody and you as a recruiter is like, hey, I want to reach out. I've got a job for this person.
Yep. So I'm just going to go into a pipeline for a search that I'm presently doing. I'll click messages and let's see, here we go. Here's my message. They declined it. But here's what it looks like. At least I believe it looks like to them. I've sent them a message, I'm putting the details together, and then, Jack said no. And so it's just that. I don't know if that answers your question. I also have another folder I can go into full of these messages. And yeah, they're for the most part copy and pastes. I'm working quickly. So I don't know if that gets to what your question is, but I've got this, my own little inbox of all these messages I've sent out to all these different people.
No, it does. I guess the follow-up to that is, okay, so I respond to it. If I respond to it, I'm not connecting to them or other. If I just say, okay, thank you, but that I'm not, love for more information, or thank you, but no thanks kind of attitude,
Sure.
Either way, that helps you and also helps me. But I mean, that's the best thing to do is what you're saying. Just try to kindly respond to them so it keeps me active and knows that I can continue to get these searches from people.
Yeah, so I'd say respond, even if it's a decline, and then follow up with a LinkedIn invitation. In recruiting, we'll all accept them. Everybody wins in that scenario. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got another hand. We are just at 12 o'clock. We can wrap this up anytime you like. I hate to keep you longer than you need to be. We really appreciate all your time and your expertise here, Chris. This has been a wonderful session. Are you willing to take one more question, or
Yeah,
should we
whatever
just...
you need.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, this has been helpful. So thanks very much. So my question has to deal more with one of the things that I've learned when you're looking at searches is like you're looking at a specific title and doing these. In my background, my responsibilities have such a wide-ranging title that I've had a hard time. I've moved away from putting an actual title into my headline.
Sure.
And I've kept on changing it to, at one time I have like the 4 main keywords that I'm good at. Right now, if you look on my LinkedIn profile, it's a sentence that says, I help teams and C-suites do blah, blah, blah. But as I'm learning from listening to you, because my role can be anything from senior communications officer to chief communications officer to vice president of corporate communications, the role has been called so many things that it's hard for me to isolate a particular title. So what do you recommend in that respect?
I think that initial banner, that's what I'm looking for. So, it could be expert, it could be senior leader in communication. I mean, because you're not going to take like a communications analyst job, right? So just what's authentic to you. And I will say when I'm doing searches, I've literally done some communication searches recently. I'm not nuanced between a director of communications and a senior vice president of communications. Like, I know that's the pickle I get into. So what I do is in my keyword, I will do all those titles. So I'll go executive.
Okay. So that's something that you
keyword. Yep. I write corporate and communications.
Perfect.
Now that's what I do. And that's what helps me, if I were to do this in this section here, I can just type executive.
Got it.
Don't have to go, I can go director. I'll take out executive assistant, and then down here, this keyword, corporate and communications.
Oh, so you'll do a Boolean search on the things as opposed to
I Boolean everything. I Boolean everything. And then look at what I got. First couple people, executive director, because I'm including, and this is very common.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
And then real quickly, Michael, on everything you're doing on video, yes. Any way you can differentiate yourself in these small little things. All we want to know is you're a nice person, you're a trustworthy person, you're going to represent us well in front of our client. That's all we care about. And so video is an amazing way to articulate that in 5 seconds. Oh, I can trust this person. And you can do that through your LinkedIn posts. It's free.
That's the hope.
There's nothing like it. I don't do it enough. We all say we should do it more. It's the easiest thing in the world, and I wish I did it more as well.
Mhm.
Thanks for the feedback.
Perfect. This has been a fantastic section, Chris. Answering all of these questions, going through all of this for all of us. I learned a lot. I really appreciate your time, and I think based on the comments and the chat over there, you've got a lot of fans who were really impressed by the kinds of things you were able to share with us. So thank you so much for all of this.
Thanks. I'll just say it's overwhelming. And so if you want to send me a message through LinkedIn and ask me, either a specific question or go through your profile, I'm happy to do it because I get what you're going through. It's a frustrating time, and I'm happy to give you the best insider information I can get.
That's fantastic. We might invite you back again if you're willing. But thank you so much. I put your URL in the chat.
Thank you. I'll be clean shaven for that next call with a brown hair. So.
Yeah, I heard somebody mention that the profile picture that they had was still when they had hair. Me too. So I understand, but yes, go ahead and make some of those changes. Yes, ageism exists. We're going to do that in another session as well. But thank you all so much for all of this. I'm going to remind you all, I'm going to stop the recording, by the way.